You're born who you are. You change what you have to. You're born who you are. You can change if you have to. You're born who you are. You must change 'cause you want to. It's time to focus on your dreams. Put them off so long, they're there but can't be seen. But how hard do you try? You're lucky to be alive. Let's step up our game a bit and use those things we quit, and laugh and smile and say we're lucky to be alive. It's time to start to do those things. The goals you set, the ones you call your dreams. But how hard do you try? You're lucky to be alive. So you're bringing it, the start of the year. You know you got nothing but cheer. Your family and your friends, they are so proud of you. It's time to start to do those things. The goals you set, the ones you call your dreams. But how hard do you try? You're lucky to be alive. You're born who you are. You change what you have to. You're born who you are. You can change if you have to. You're born who you are. You must change 'cause you want to. It's time to focus on your dreams. Put them off so long, they're there but can't be seen. But how hard do you try? You're lucky to be alive. Let's step up our game a bit and use those things we quit, and laugh and smile and say we're lucky to be alive. It's time to start to do those things. The goals you set, the ones you call your dreams. But how hard do you try? You're lucky to be alive. So you're bringing it, the start of the year. You know you got nothing but cheer. Your family and your friends, they are so proud of you. It's time to start to do those things. The goals you set, the ones you call your dreams. But how hard do you try? lucky to be alive.
Our very own certified medium. She is going to speak with us today. She does a series also, be aware, on natural law, and it's always from 1 to 4, 1:30 to 4. Thank you. I think I don't need reading glasses, but I do. And her next workshop will be February 27th, so it's always a very good thing. For now, if you will please give a very warm welcome to Diane Davis. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I was listening to music at home, and those of you at home are probably still listening, but when I was listening to music at home, you know, some of the songs that I listen to are on Pandora, the free part. And so I got to listen to songs that were the Goldie Oldies. And so that there are like memories that are flooding through because of things that I'm hearing. And as I was doing that, I realized that I really wanted to talk today about the law of romance, because all of us experience it in our lives, whether it's with another human being, whether it's with an animal, whether it's with a new home, a new car, a new job, new circumstances, a new hairdo, can be just about anything. And the wonderful part of this is a lot of people who assume that they are in love with something are not necessarily doing themselves a good favor. And I'll tell you why I say that. Is that to be in love with something, often people lose their own identity. To join with something, to participate with it, is a whole nother opportunity to use all the energies of you and all the energies of that person or that circumstance or that vehicle or whatever, and enjoy it. So what happens in our lives and in our society with romance? Because romance is different than love. And people go, huh? And what I will tell you is that romance is something that's often in your mind. And it is in that place called fantasy. And yesterday I taught the law of love here for Joy Sager, who couldn't be here at the last minute. And I'm sure that we teach differently. But what I want to share with you is that I mentioned about needing things and wanting things and desiring things. All of us experience that in our lives. All of us need food. All of us need water or hydration. All of us need a certain amount of shelter. And so those are true needs of the body. But what happens is emotionally, our needs often place us in a place of survival because we fear that we won't be able to survive or go on in life, or whatever the circumstances are that we're facing, without a particular person or perhaps money, etc. Those things can be very real, so I'm not discrediting any of it. I'm just saying that we need food, we need shelter, we need water. We want good food, we want adequate moisture, hydration of the body, and we also would like comfortable shelter, which is not always available, but hopefully will be. And so there are things in life that we look at, and they are external to us, and yet we learn about them from the time that we're very little. The romance that I'm referring to this morning is the romance you have with things and people. And some people like old movies. Some people like old songs. I enjoy old songs because some of the new ones I can't understand the words. I'm so sorry. And so some of it is just about personal preference. But then I thought about, you ready? I thought about baggage. You know, a lot of times when people go to a new job, a new home, a new relationship, a new this, a new that, we say they're going to take their baggage with them. And we're not talking about the literal suitcase or backpack. We're talking about baggage, old emotions, old attitudes, old occurrences. So I wanted to make my topic today have a little zing to it, because when you say the law of romance, that sounds very mental. What I want to talk about, though, is your baggage claim full? Because one thing that happens in life is sometimes our baggage claim fills up. And then some of those baggages that we carry that aren't necessarily good or bad, so please put a neutral on them. Don't look at baggage as being a bad thing. It's just because it may give you your talents, or it may give you your focus for what you're going to do in life, or it may give you the next thing you want to accomplish. So baggage is not a bad thing, and it's not necessarily a good thing. It's just a thing, but it's just a name at this moment. And so in talking about the baggage claim, I mentioned this to Reverend Jerry Moore and Pauline at breakfast yesterday, because we enjoy Saturday mornings of laughter. And Jerry made the comment about, yeah, you can watch the bags come out and go around and around and around and around because nobody's claiming them, so we don't have to claim our baggage, do we? Isn't that fun? And also the fact that, you know, I could say, oh, mine had a flower on it or a red ribbon, and I don't see it there now, so that must not be mine. So there's a lot of denial that we'll often do about things that are tendencies or attitudes. What I'm mentioning about romance is the fact that throughout our lives we learn a lot about heart. We learn about our emotions, and we identify it with our personal lub-dub heart. And that is not necessarily correct or incorrect. It is just an association that has been often given to the heart area of the body, as well as the heart itself pumping for something or someone. And so I wanted to also give you some cute little quotes or some interesting little tidbits about the heart. And so romance for all of us prior to the age of 5 years old, approximately 5, it can go till about 7, but what it is prior to the pituitary changes of your physical body in the early years of your life. That's when we often learn our fears. That's where we often learn our prejudices. That's where we often learn a lot of things that are shown to us or taught to us. Not taught to us in the rational sense of I went to school and learned a particular thing, But have you ever watched a child, especially this can happen at the grocery store a lot, when there's a little toddler in a cart and it's in the cart right behind you and you're checking out your things out, and that little toddler reaches over and grabs a candy bar, and its parent or caregiver puts the candy bar back. Have you ever watched that? And so in some cases the child will understand, but very rarely do they. And so they learn a particular thing about can't have, but they don't always learn it gracefully, because sometimes their little hands are slapped. Sometimes they're told no. And sometimes it gets a little bit more extreme with shouting or crying. So there can be all kinds of events that take place in life. And all of us have experienced events in our lives. So those aren't necessarily bad. The mother or father or caregiver isn't especially abusive. It's just a moment in time. But I also have watched something else that occurs. And that's when a small child is in a store and it's standing and its parent threatens to leave and does and walks out the door. Have you ever watched a child's face? Well, you might have been that child, not necessarily in that type of event, but there may have been some other circumstance that you experienced. And it may be that it was not a parent that meant you any ill will or harm, but just wanted to show you the circumstances of control, that when they said we're leaving, we're leaving. But that doesn't always get through, because prior to the age of 5 to 7, and prior to the pituitary changes in our body, our reasoning capability isn't fully developed in the brain patterning, even though it can be expected. So be gentle with yourself if you find yourself having baggage about anything. And it can be about how you're treated. It can be about anything. And when somebody says, you have a lot of baggage, I always think, wow, no wonder my arms never developed well. So there's lots of ways that you can have with yourself. Is the divine right of you, is that there's this wonderful place within you that is constantly going to be seeking change, that's going to constantly look for more in life, that is constantly going to feel drawn and excited with passion when you express yourself, when you feel excited or motivated toward anything. That can be anything, even if you're angry toward it. And it doesn't mean that it goes well, but it does mean that there's something within each of us called passion that is incredibly divine, because it's that place that will recognize your truth. It is the place that when you are recognizing truth within yourself, and you will say, I think I no longer can do something this way, but now I will recognize I want to do it differently. Your life is going to be opportunity for change constantly, and those changes can be subtle and small, or they can be large and bold. And neither are right or wrong, better than the other. I had surgery so many years ago, and after the surgery, Shands Hospital in Gainesville, which is where I had surgery done, invited us to a gathering in Daytona Beach at some hotel. It was a luncheon for a whole bunch of people, and we were sitting around these tables, and I didn't understand why I was there, but I went because I thought it was going to be different and interesting maybe. And what it was everybody sitting around the table had gone through some major thing. This person had had open heart surgery. That person had had a replacement of this, that, and the other thing. And this is so many years ago. I'm sorry I don't remember all of the parts. But what I did remember was it was almost like one-upmanship. Like mine was worse than yours. And so I remember when they got to me, I looked pretty pathetic at that point. You're not supposed to say she still does, because see, that doesn't cut it. And but what happened was when they came to me, I remember just very gently saying what had gone on, and then I said, but you know what? I learned so much. And romance is that little part of you that feels romantic about anything you do. I have a romance with public speaking. I love to be up here and talk. Did you notice? And but it's not just about blabbing my truth. It's about sharing the information and the skills and the experience I've had, and loving that people such as yourself allow me to pretend I can do it. And the exciting thing is throughout our lives, we have romance with so many things, our hobbies, our skills, the people around us, our animals, if you have pets or you are around animals in any form. And I just find that the romance is also there within our country. It's there within our society. It's there within our humanity. Everyone wants to feel better. Everyone wants to get along in what that might mean, whether it means they don't bother you or whether it means you get to interact more. Everybody does. So there's an element of romance that we grow with and we develop from the time we're little. And you know, the baggage thing is interesting because you can't change the scars that life leaves on you or in you. You can't change the scars that life leaves on you or in you, but you can change their meaning. You can change their meaning. So whatever, quote, romance that may have gone down the river, or whatever job really got botched up, messed, or didn't happen, or you got fired, that was a moment in time. But that could be where it brought you to today, where there's part of you that's seeking more. There's part of you wanting to know more. There's part of you wanting to do more. You know, we all have that place where what we have taken from our experiences, like our first crush. Was your first crush on one of your parents? Was your first crush on one of your teachers? Was your crush on the principal? Was your crush on another student? What's a crush? And do we consider that a baggage piece? I would, because it's a precious moment and a precious time of you wanting to share precious you with another thing or person. Pretty special. The law of romance exists also in our government. It exists within our society constantly. It exists within the foods we eat. Do you get it? Some of us love chocolate. Yes, you can put yours here. And some of us don't like certain things, and that's okay too. But what is interesting is that all of your likes and dislikes are not set in stone, because there's no absolute in life other than life and death. None. So when I mentioned to you that the meaning of a scar can change, it truly can. You can begin to see something that altered your life or altered a time in your life, and you can begin to recognize it, how it brought you to today. And that's pretty amazingly wonderful. And what's amazingly wonderful about it is you survived, you got through it, it may have hurt you, it may have been painful physically, it may have been difficult, you may have gone through a lot, so we'll give you 2 bags on that one. But you know, the fascinating part is you got through it because there's a part of you in your soul that wants to create and wants to keep going and wants to keep creating. The soul of you will be doing that until your last breath. And then, in my opinion, and this is not necessarily the opinion of the management, is that, and then the soul goes on, because the soul is a forever thing. And the beauty of that, the beauty of the soul being a forever thing, is that there are a lot of studies, a lot of philosophies, a lot of religions that will tell you what that means. But you're the one that has it, and you're the one that owns your own. No one can take that from you. Nothing can take that from you because it's housed within your physical presence. The spirit of you wraps around that wonderful soul, and when you're excited and when you're passionate about anything, that allows the soul of you to continue to expand towards those new ideas, those new dreams, those new hopes. And it doesn't have to be the big ones, it can be the little ones, it can be those little creative moments that you'll experience in your life, and you'll take them forward. I want just to share some of these things because there's a wonderful song from Pajama Game. I think it's from Pajama Game or Guys and Dolls. I think it's Pajama Game. And since I'm dating myself with those 2 musicals, half of you have never heard of them. There's a song called Heart. You've got to have heart. You gotta have heart, miles and miles and miles of heart. That one? Okay. Well, I learned a song called Skin to that in college. I was in a jug band, and so every time I start to sing Heart, I end up singing Skin. So no, I'm not going to sing it for you. But what I want to tell you is a couple of things that are more lighthearted about the heart. And that Newsweek magazine in May of 1978, before a few of you were born, reported that John Wayne, most of you know who John Wayne is, the actor, cowboy. He often played officers or people in positions. He was in True Grit. But John Wayne received the mitral valve of a pig's heart to replace a defective valve in his heart. So far with me? Convalescing from open heart surgery, he remarked, "I feel like a new man. When I wake up in the morning and it's raining, I feel like rolling in the mud." Play. The spirit of us works best at play. When you're serious, when you're sanctimonious, when you think you know all the answers, when you're absolute, you're like this. And so the romance of you when you were a child, the romance opened up so many avenues. You daydreamed, you discovered, you explored. I lived in the desert from the time I was 6 until I was 15. But when I was 6 and 7 years old, I'd go out on a little 8x10 plot of grass that had one palm tree with my dog, and I'd play Tarzan and Jane. What'd you do? And as a child, that magical capability was your element of romance that is the dreamer, but it's also that explorer. That person within you, that soul within you that wants to create and wants to discover wants to discover something more. And so when somebody handed you a coloring book when you were little and you had to color the apple red, did anybody color their apple a different color? Yes. And it doesn't mean you were wrong to do it the way you were told to do it. It's just sometimes that uniformity takes away the precious uniqueness of all that we are. Something I did in college was I gave a report in an education class on a gifted child that went to college when he was about 10 years old. And his mother used to dress up in poodle skirts and saddle Oxfords so she would look like she was supposed to be there with this young person. But something that was interesting about the book about him, his name was Mikey, was the fact that when he colored, she would hand him the coloring book, and it has the newsprint paper with the outline of whatever the image is. And she said one day when she handed him the coloring book and it had an apple, that he got out the blue crayon and colored it blue. Was he wrong? No. Was it a moment of magic? Yes. And you have those. You have that romantic place within you that is part of what I call the isness. Because God is not to me here. God is everywhere. There's here, there, here, you, me, the floor, under the floor, everything. And that essence of all life is everything and one thing more. It's that one thing more you haven't discovered. It's that one thing more you haven't embraced. It's that one next blink of your eye. It's that one next breath you're going to take. It's that one next thought. And because of that, it's knowing that that divine energy is you and always has been you. It's not something you have to do good things in order to obtain. It's already here. And it's everywhere. And it's not something that just because a person acts superior that they've got more than you do. Doesn't work like that, in my opinion. But I want to tell you more about the heart. That Aristotle believed that the source of the heart, the source of man's thoughts and emotions and control the rest of the physical body was accomplished by slender threads that linked it to the heart. So all of those threads linked to the muscles from the heart in the body. And that's where the phrase tugging at your heartstrings often is credited, just so you know. I wrote down a couple other things real quickly because human hearts beat about 70 to 75 beats per minute. 5 years ago, mine went a lot lower than that for a while. Was not a pretty picture. Wasn't fun either. But most of us, it's 70 to 75 beats per minute. A bird is usually 200 to 1,000 beats per minute. Isn't that amazing? And if you ever watch a little bird, it's okay. An elephant, I like elephants, are 20 to 50 beats per minute. And, ready? A blue whale, because I know that you all see them frequently, is from 5 to 6 beats per minute. Isn't that amazing? And the blue whale's heart, it weighs over a ton. Isn't life amazing? And one more thing on the quotes that I wrote was Theodore Roosevelt said, "There is only one quality worse than hardness of heart." Does anybody know the end of this? And that is softness of head. When they say in The Little Prince, it's only with the heart that one can see rightly, what's essential is invisible to the eye. It's the fact that all of you are intuitive, and all of you are capable of understanding the quality within you that is so valuable and so precious. And it's that discovery element, you can come in, it's that discovery element that you have. All of your life, if you just begin to keep your eyes open, or if your eyes no longer are capable of vision externally, to keep your mind, your thoughts, your hearing, if you have that capability still. It's about the openness to life, because life will show us, and life is constantly changing. And if you don't think it is, just look around you outside. It's constantly changing. You can have a romance with all this change. And the romance is discovering how to be within it, or discovering how to share within it, discovering what's in it. That's a good start. But when I mentioned about the baggage claim this morning, it's because of wanting you to understand you've got a baggage claim, but it's all yours. And the things that are in it and rolling around on the conveyor belt, those are yours too, and they're not necessarily bad, and they're not necessarily good. They just is what they is. And the is what they is will become the is that was, because it just did. Did you get it? And the is that will be is up to you. And the romance that you are going to have with life is going to be your choices and how you commingle and share with the rest of humanity and the rest of your life. There will be no right or wrong, good or bad, but what there will be is how you can sleep with you at night, how you can allow you to be, and how in that element of discovering all that you are, it's to recognize that you'll always be who you are. And right this minute that you are more than you ever were. And the amazing part is, tomorrow you're going to be more than you were, even today. And thanks so much for coming. And are there any questions? Yes, sir.
When it comes to the baggage,
yes, sir.
What I was thinking of when you were speaking of that is, as we explore mediumship, is for myself, I feel like the baggage is one of the biggest, perceived hurdles of making a connection in mediumship. Is my own baggage, my own stuff.
Oh.
Is that?
Are you in classes? Are you studying with anybody?
No.
Because I'm about ready to say something and I don't want to overstep.
No.
No, your baggage is not an interference. And you know why? It's like when people say, don't be egotistical. Well, anybody can be egotistical. And you know why? Because the ego defines who you are. It lets you be you and me be me. Okay, so the thing about mediumship, and this is my opinion, and it wouldn't necessarily agree with anybody else in this place, but I've been here longer than the majority of them, so I'm going to say it, is the fact that it's you and a connection that you're making. The baggage will help you to define. But what you will get to do is, ready, and you look this word up, if you would, when you get home, and discover about it. It's not a should, and it's not something you have to do. Okay, this is not homework, even though it is kind of. It is that allow yourself to look up the word discernment. Discernment means how close to hold it to you, how far to put it from you. Same with an image, whether it's a touch, a sound, whether it's a taste, whether it's a clairvoyant moment of a picture, whether it's a sentient moment, same thing. It allows you to be the observer of it rather than taking it in. So if you have old stuff, I just want to tell you something. I've been a reader professionally. I'm going into my 45th year. I trained for 7 years before that. I have been doing this stuff for the majority of my life because I like to think I'm 27. However, what I will tell you is everyone is unique in the way that they make that connection, because it's your time, it's your experience, it's your opportunity. And usually a lot of the teachers will encourage you to discover that in class, because classes do offer you opportunity to find out about the accuracy. It's not important that you're right or wrong. A lot of people want to be right. They feel like, well, if I give you a message, I have to be right. What I will tell you is it's important to be accurate. Big difference. Being right or wrong has fear behind it, like that. So be gentle about whatever your stuff is and just have a wonderful time communicating. And if you're not able to do that, don't look upon that as a problem to be resolved. Look at it as a discovery to be explored. Does that help?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm so glad. And I'm so glad you all are here, and they are having the renewal of vows this morning. And Deb is speaking, isn't she? Deb Jordan. And hi there. I did not recognize you because of this. Thank you. And it also helps because I don't have my glasses on either, Deb. All I see is short hair. Anyway, and thank you so much for letting me speak this morning. And thank you so much for being in the group here with us. So.
We could walk out.
I got it.
All right. Let's give a big thank you to Diane Davis. She never disappoints. Please remember that we do have the Prosperity Bowls sitting back in the table over here. And all of those funds do go to fixing our buildings. Some of them look a little aged, don't they? And we thank you for coming, and have a very wonderful day. Stay for service if you can.
I know a man who's always expecting a prize. And I know a man who thanks the sun when it's on the rise. I know a woman who keeps her dreams locked in a tin. And I know a woman who dances in four directions. And your eyes shining brighter. Your heart